Hi guys, we've now reached the educational portion of our show. I just wanted to go over what you all just watched in the case of the Kennedy. So the parties, they were married previously, no longer together, they're divorced, right? Mom is now remarried to a CEO of an energy company.
Alright guys, this case looks simple at first, a father asking for more child support for his 12-year-old daughter. But within minutes, the conversation takes an unexpected turn involving a wealthy new husband, a weekly allowance, and a judge who makes it crystal clear that emotions don't determine child support evidence and the law do. The final ruling may surprise you, so stick around.
All right, and what is your daughter's name?
Autumn.
Autumn. Oh, what a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Autumn. Okay. So what type of expenses does she have that are increasing?
Yeah, so she's doing volleyball right now, and we're thinking that she's going to be doing that in high school as well.
Okay.
So just, athletic wear and then traveling, going to places. I want to go and support her and as well as her, but, I'm the one having to drive and take her if I don't want her to ride the bus because I don't feel her safe doing that.
Okay. Is this a school bus or?
Yeah, it's a school bus.
With her teammates?
With her teammates, yes.
And you don't feel that she should, ride with her teammates?
If it's really far away, maybe like an hour or more, I'll
Okay.
drive her. But, if it's 30 minutes or less, I'll usually let her typically go.
Okay. That's understandable.
As the father explains his daughter's growing expenses, notice that he's not asking for luxury, he's talking about real costs that come with raising a teenager. Sports, travel, equipment, and everyday activities all add up over time. Legally, that's exactly the kind of change that can justify modifying child support. Do you think these expenses sound reasonable?
Your Honor, I do feel that he's trying to take advantage of my new relationship.
Okay. Tell me about this new relationship.
Well, I can't really help who I have fallen in love with. So my new husband is a fantastic provider. However, I do get an allowance, and it isn't as much as you would think coming from. Well, my husband's a CEO of an energy company, so you would expect a huge allowance, but obviously he has to protect all of his hard-earned income.
What type of allowance do you receive?
About $500 a week.
$500 a week, okay. All right.
Now the case takes a dramatic turn. Instead of focusing on her daughter's needs, the mother shifts attention to her new marriage and the fact that her husband is a CEO. She's trying to explain her financial situation, but the judge is listening for something much more important, her actual ability to contribute. Did you expect this conversation to go in this direction?
Understand that, but what I don't think has been considered yet is the fact that I set aside furthering my education, though I wanted to pursue that, so that he could go get his MIS degree and then a master's in something. So I'm not sure that it's fair. I would like to consider all the money that wasn't spent on me that should have been spent on me while we were married.
Okay, yeah, no, that's not how this works. And sir, she says she gets a $500 a week allowance from her husband, and who is a CEO of an energy company.
This is a common misunderstanding in family court. The mother argues that she sacrificed her own education during the marriage, hoping that history should reduce what she owes today. But child support isn't about settling old relationship disputes. It's about meeting a child's current needs. Should past sacrifices influence today's support payments?
Briefly, how much money does your husband make?
I'm really not sure.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's a lot.
It's a lot?
I think so.
When you say a lot, is it like in the 200,000s, 300,000s?
Well, the car that he drives was about 200,000. So I'm thinking you'd probably have to
You
make
only
more
get a
than that.
$500 a week. You know what? That's not my business. That's not the reason I'm here. I'm not going to even entertain that.
That's what I was thinking too.
I'll just move on. Sir, do you know how much money her husband makes a year?
I don't, but he's the Steve Jobs of the town of energy,
Jobs.
so to say.
So let me ask you this. Are you expecting her child support to be based on his Steve Jobs?
No,
job?
his success has nothing to do with me or my daughter or our
Okay.
daughter. And like I said, I just want a little more help because she's
Okay.
getting older. And, if she's happily married with whoever and how big his wallet is, that is totally up to her.
Okay, well, I'm glad that's not what you were doing because you can't do that anyway. But what we can do, ma'am, is make you pay more in child support because at this point you've been paying zero. Because from what I see, you're a stay-at-home mom, which is absolutely okay. But you do understand that your child has increased expenses, correct?
Yes, I do see that.
Okay,
but
so after yes, I do see that, that means that I don't need any further response. So you understand that, right?
well, how much are we talking about?
We're going to base it off that $500 a week allowance that you make.
Okay.
So, based on that, I have your gross at $2,000 a month. After you take out the calculations for the taxes, your net comes out to $1,662.53, okay? That would give you a child support obligation of
The judge immediately separates emotion from the law. Even if the mother's new husband earns millions, his income isn't automatically counted when calculating child support. That's a legal principle many people don't realize. The court focuses on the parent's own financial resources, not their spouse's wealth. Were you surprised by that rule?
of $266. However, you also heard him say that he pays $130, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In medical insurance for the child. You're going to have to reimburse that to him. So, in addition to the $266 a month for child support, you add the $130, your child support obligation monthly comes out to $396.
Here's where the legal analysis becomes very important. The judge isn't impressed by titles or expensive lifestyles. Instead, she asks one simple question: what money does the mother actually receive? Her own testimony about receiving a $500 weekly allowance becomes the foundation for calculating support. Sometimes your own words become the strongest evidence in court.
Can I say something?
Sure, but make it brief.
Okay, well, I don't know if he's still subscribing to the same psychic,
Okay.
but she charges, I think it's $412 a month.
Okay.
And-
What does this psychic have to do with these numbers?
Well, because I just feel like if he can afford the psychic, then maybe he can afford the insurance. And I guess I feel that that is money that could have gone towards my education while we were married.
Okay, well, I've already...
The numbers are now replacing the emotions. After applying the state's child support guidelines, the judge calculates a monthly obligation and also requires reimbursement for health insurance. This isn't punishment, it's an attempt to fairly divide the financial responsibility of raising their daughter. Do you think the amount sounds fair?
Well, I've already said no to that. That has nothing to do with me. I mean, you should address that in your divorce, obviously. And whatever he pays, if he chooses to do that, that has nothing to do with your responsibility, your financial responsibility to your daughter. So if there's nothing further from either of you, you all are dismissed.
Just when the ruling seems settled, the mother brings up something completely unexpected: a psychic subscription. It's clearly an emotional argument, but legally it changes nothing. The judge reminds everyone that how someone chooses to spend personal money doesn't erase their responsibility to financially support their child.
Hi guys, we've now reached the educational portion of our show. I just wanted to go over what you all just watched in the case of the Kennedy. So the parties, they were married previously, no longer together, they're divorced, right? Mom is now remarried to a CEO of an energy company. Dad is looking for her to pay an increase from zero amount of child support to something more that he is able to financially support the children. Not only can she be able to pay child support, that answer is yes, but I also want you to pay attention to the spouse in this case. So under Texas law, whenever there is a change in material or substantial circumstance, the courts are able to increase child support. So even if you were not necessarily in a court ordered to pay an amount of child support, that can be increased if there is testimony to show that you actually do have some more money. Well, in this
moment highlights an important lesson. Family court isn't designed to revisit every disagreement from a failed marriage. The judge repeatedly redirects both parties back to one central issue: what's best for the child right now. That's often the biggest difference between legal arguments and emotional ones.
Particular case, the spouse made a lot of money. Well, unfortunately, under Texas law, a spouse's income is not calculated in terms of child support for what the other person has to pay. You only can pay child support, the person only has to pay child support based on the amount of money that they were receiving. So her child support amount was based on the allowance that she was receiving from her husband, and that's what determined her child support obligation. Do you know of anyone who's experienced a similar situation? Be sure to subscribe.
During the educational breakdown, the judge explains why this case mattered. A substantial change in circumstances, like increased expenses or increased income, can justify modifying child support. Many parents assume old court orders last forever, but that's simply not how family law works when circumstances change. Perhaps the biggest takeaway is this: the new spouse's paycheck wasn't the deciding factor. Instead, the court based support on the mother's own available income, her weekly allowance. It's a subtle legal distinction that completely changed the outcome. Did that surprise you, or did you expect the CEO's salary to matter? In the end, this case wasn't about wealth, revenge, or remarriage. It was about making sure a growing child received fair financial support under the law. The judge separated emotion from legal responsibility and delivered a decision based on evidence, not assumptions. If this case surprised you too, drop your opinion in the comments, hit like, and subscribe for more courtroom drama and legal breakdowns.